Okay, let me try that again. Good evening, good day, good night, good whatever time of day it is when you're watching this. This is Captain Mike, and we're continuing the cross-country trip to replicating the 1911 flight of the Vin Fizz across the continental United States. So today we're going to be starting with the October 1st flight, which covered Decatur to Huntington, Indiana. And this leg is going to be kind of short, so I'm probably going to do two, unless something goes really wrong. But yeah, let's dive right in. We're gonna be going straight to the airfield that I'm starting at doesn't have any parking spots, so we're gonna be going straight to takeoff. And so yeah, let's get that started. Ooh, look at that! Look at those wind effects. All right. I said ready to fly, but... Ooh, that might help. Might help if I actually plugged in my controller, and it might help. So let's see, compass, and get the map. Okay. So we are at Rivare. Okay. So we're starting off replicating the flight that took place on October the 1st, 1911. In this case, if you were here last time, you'll recall that we were at or the Rodgers had landed in a field outside Rivare, Indiana, just outside Decatur. I wanted to go the other way. Wait. No, this is the right way. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Where he had landed with engine trouble on September the 30th. So the engine trouble was fixed, more or less. And so we're taking off the next morning, but this flight would almost immediately go wrong because of a heavy thunderstorm rolling through the area. We'll elaborate on that as we go. The first task today is to figure out where Decatur is, which should be to the west, where I took off. It'd be lovely if the plane would not just immediately veer off to the left, right. Anywho. catastrophe of some sort. Um, so, yeah, the weather was particularly bad the morning, on October the 1st, but, Rodgers had wanted to make Hammond, Indiana the previous day, failed, and was determined to make it today, rain or shine. I'm not gonna bother making the weather nasty. I have had enough challenge as it is. But anyway, almost immediately upon reaching Decatur, Rodgers ended up swinging southwards because of the reduced visibility, or because of the storm and reduced visibility, and etc. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna swing south. Whoa. Whoa, okay. Ooh. Alright, is that better? Rudder was being weird there. Alright. Cool. Very cool. I think it's fixed now. So flying in inclement weather was a terrible idea, and Rodgers would not end up making very much progress doing this. But one must keep in mind that this plane doesn't have any means to see through heavy clouds. Doesn't have any means. Wouldn't have had much in the way of navigation. I'm starting to suspect he didn't actually have a compass with him upstairs in the plane, based on how many times he got lost. Wouldn't have had any means of telling where you are, what the plane's pointed at, other than feel. And the power to weight such that the plane barely and moving any faster than a really good headwind, so just wasn't a good idea. And even with this slightly more advanced plane from a couple years later, I still wouldn't voluntarily take it up in bad conditions. is why I'm not. Okay, so we got a highway here that may or may not... Well, the highway definitely wouldn't have been around in 1911, but a road... There may have been a road here at that point, at least. So this would be Monroe. Nice low sun. It's October. We're getting well into the fall here. anybody who was here for the last one will know I talked a lot of shit about Ohio last week. Indiana, well, the Indianapolis 500's cool. I went to the... I saw the U.S. Grand Prix at the Indianapolis circuit every year from 2000 to 2007, except 2001. And the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is pretty cool. So, there's that. Otherwise, not much to see. Not much to see is my impression. This would be Bern, Indiana. We're once again on theme here with the cities named after other cities in the Midwest named after other places. We'll be continuing that, and when we get to Geneva. This got to cross over the Wabash River. Another Native American name, I think. Right, and here be Geneva, Indiana. Now, at this, having gone this far south, having gone this far and the storm wasn't improving and he didn't see a way out of it, Rodgers actually touched down in Geneva, talked to the locals, realized that how far he was going out of his way and that he wasn't going to make any progress, and ended up waiting out the storm in Geneva. going to keep going. But so in the mid-afternoon on October 1st, Rodgers finally took off again, and following the advice he was given was that he could get back to Hammond either by following a railway that I'm pretty sure does not exist anymore, or by following the Wabash River. I am going to follow Huntington, sorry. You could get to Huntington following the Wabash River, which is what I'm going to do for simplicity's sake, so... I will be following the Wabash River, at least as far as Uniondale. Maybe all the way to Huntington. See what the navigation looks like when I get there. We'll see what the terrain looks like when I get there. It is, at least for this section, of more or less straight shot northwest. We're going to say that this little hamlet here is probably Lynn Grove. be careful because this plane just does not want to stay level. And I don't have any trim control over the ailerons or rudder. I have elevator trim, which I probably shouldn't actually have, but I got buttons for it, might as well use them. Called flyover country for a reason. Okay, so I'm gonna guess this right here is Veracruz, and I'm seeing what I'm going to assume is Bluffton off in the distance there. Be there before you know it. Yeah, there are flights. It seems like there are flights where I can tell exactly where I am at any given time, and flights where I just have no clue. This, luckily, is the former. Hey, Vias. It is, yeah. Yeah, Indiana, baby. Not even one of the interesting parts of Indiana. Which is to say, the Speedway. Or the National Park. Indiana's got two cool places. Again, they have a national park, which is something that Pennsylvania can't say for some goddamn reason. So I think it was Indiana. I have a ex coworker who was busted with a shit ton of weed in their car in Indiana, and that's how they lost their. That's how they became my ex coworker. Although this was also like a decade and 3 jobs ago. But yeah, so there's Indiana stories. Alright, so we've reached Bluffton. And soon I have to make a decision about whether to keep following the river or to sort of there was a train line here. I'm pretty sure it's not there now, so that's going to be... The river's definitely going to be the easier option. Man, I could land at Skip's place if I weren't doing the stupid historical flight thing. I bet Skip's place is great. Although the only Skip I know very much does not live in Indiana. I don't know if he'd appreciate me doxing him or not, so I will not say where he actually lives, but it is in Indiana. Okay, so I see a lake way off there. That is probably this lake. Could turn towards that. Looks like my landing path is going to be north of it, though. The decisions one must make as a vintage aviator. Imagine trying to do this and also having Germans shooting at you. Apologies if there are any Germans here. I shall avoid mentioning the war. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to aim to the north of that lake. So that should put me along sort of maybe somewhere around here on this vector. What could go wrong? $20 to see the RV Hall of Fame. Goddamn. They better have a good RV. They better have, like, the Winnebago from Spaceballs if they're charging that much. And, I literally can't think of any other famous RVs. Hi, Remelicious. Oh. Yeah. What did I... Oh, well, it sounds like you missed out. What did I pay? I paid $21 to drive the width of Ohio last weekend. Which, at least Ohio is a wider state than Indiana, so you're getting more money or more mileage out of that. I also had the privilege of being able to pull over at a rest stop on the Ohio Turnpike and take a nap, which I ended up desperately needing. What was I driving through Ohio for? So I went on a road trip to Cleveland and then Michigan, and then Ann Arbor, Detroit for well, so I saw my family and went to 3 museums, 2 concerts, and a zoo, and about 1,000 miles in the car over the course of 4 days. So it was 5 days. So it was a busy 5 days, but fun. So respectively, the museums were Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Ann Arbor Natural Science Museum, or University of Michigan Natural Sciences Museum, and the U.S. Air Force Museum. The concerts were Red Vox in Cleveland, and then Red Vox in Detroit. And the zoo was the Detroit Zoo. So yeah. 5 days, but yeah. Very busy, very hectic, but very good 5 days. Oh yeah, Vias was there for part of it. And I think I've already spotted the landing field, so this is good. This is good. We're doing good. We're doing good. I am going to... I mean, yeah, I had issues with, like, I certainly have issues with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame institution. Museum was alright. Oh yeah, so they had Andre 3000's outfit, or at least one of his outfits from the payoff video when I was there, because Outcast was added to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame last year. As were the White Stripes and Soundgarden, which the Soundgarden was what I was really geeked about. Also, if nothing else, I could have spent an entire day in the jam room if you had left me there. Yeah. Anyways, I didn't go when the rest of you went, like, so I think, so the rest of you, I assume, went when we were there for the eclipse, and I didn't go then, so wanted to when I had a few hours to kill in Cleveland today, or last week. Anyway, the Air Force Museum is, like, on par with, if not better than, the Smithsonian as a plane geek. Or yeah, it's at least as good as the Smithsonian as a plane geek museum. Got to see one of these. Got to see a JN4 in the flesh. So that was cool. Alright, so that was the first leg, and obviously this was very short, so I'm going to do another one. I'll do another one once I've pulled over and gotten ready, and you get to witness my famously bad ground handling. It might be slowly becoming infamously bad ground handling with this thing. All right, so that was the flight of on October 1st, 1911. Rodgers arrived at Huntington, Indiana, fairly late in the afternoon. Was too shaken up by having flown through the thunderstorm earlier in the day to want to go any further. Spent the night there. And then ended up being stuck in Huntington for several days on account of more bad weather. So I'm going to turn the plane off. And we're going to reset the flight here. So just a few moments. This is LOT, right? HHQ. HHD. HHD to HDQ. IGQ. Okay. So let's get set up for the next day. All right. So, it's now October 5th, 1911. The wind has grounded Rodgers for 4 days, and he's getting antsy. But no time like the present to get started again. So late morning on October 5th, we take off again from Huntington, Indiana, and the initial goal was to make it to Chicago that day. Oh, fuel. Whoops. That might help. Might need that. Love this sim. Love this sim. I love how well it works. I love how... That's not the screen I wanted. Oh, no. We don't like this. Get off the grass, please. Well, at least the fuel's correct now. Okay. I'm gaining speed despite being at idle, and that's worrying. Oh, and I just killed the engine. Good job, me. Just completely choked the engine out. Alright, let's try. Alright, using the onboard ignition's cheating, but you wouldn't start this up by yourself. Starting this was a two-person operation to begin with. will be happy if I manage not to nose over this plane on the ground, because that's happened to me a lot. Back on the tarmac. Probably should have just left it on the runway. Whatever. This has me so much more tense than actually flying. You wouldn't believe it. Okay, we made it to the runway. Not really much to check here, so let's just punch it. Yeah, not much in the way of pre-flight checks to do on this thing. So, where we are going to be heading, so first things first, we're going to head north to Huntington, and then I got to figure out what the hell I'm doing, because there's this section of the this section of Chicago and Atlantic Railway doesn't exist anymore, and I almost hit the radar tower. So yeah. Figure out what to do here is going to be fun. Well, so the we're not making Illinois today. We're not making Illinois today. So what was the Chicago and Atlantic Railway went sort of west-northwest across northern Indiana here. To Hammond. So Hammond Lansing is where we're ending today. This plane's not going to go up. I need to head roughly this direction. There might or might not be like remnants. A lot of the time you might be able to still see some remnants of the rail grade on the ground. I didn't go through like the full satellite I'm gonna go through the full satellite imagery to see if it's visible or not. Make my life easier if it is. Yeah, well, I think if Hammond, Indiana becomes the home of the Bears, then we would not be very right to call them the Chicago Bears at all. What vector is this? This might be the rail grade. Do I have Discord open? Shouldn't have Discord open. Apologize for that. Alright, what vector is this following? 270 now. Yeah, I don't think that's following quite the right direction. That does look like a rail grade though, but it's not going far enough north. Why do the Bears want to move to Indiana anyway? That'd be as dumb as renaming the place that the Steelers play after some insurance company that doesn't even service the Pittsburgh region. Possibly even more dumb. Yeah, so I guess I'm just gonna do my best to follow this heading. And God, I don't even know. Well, if I hit Lake Michigan, I'll know I've gone too far north. Yeah, this is a very unique challenge. Really wish there was like a river or something that was at least going in vaguely the same direction I need to go. I guess this is what you would call Dead Reckoning navigation, although I should have had a timer going. If it goes on an hour, if it has an hour of unnecessary filler, we'll call it Final Reckoning navigation. I do think the second half of that movie was worth sitting through the first half for, but there's definitely a tighter edit of it that exists. I suppose you could. I wouldn't, but I suppose you could. I really dislike 2's villain, and right, well, I generally kind of dislike Mission Impossible 2 until the last half hour. John Woo, my feeling on Mission Impossible 2 is that John Woo doesn't remember who he is until the shootout in Biosyn. Or, nah, he definitely remembers who he is. He just doesn't remember the assignment until he gets to the shootout in Biosyn. It's good for the rest of it there. And again, I think if you walk into Mission Impossible 8, I think if you walk into Mission Impossible 8 right before the submarine sequence, it's probably a lot better. Either way, it's very clear that for 7 and 8 they knew they didn't have another Fallout in them, or they didn't have the capacity to do another Fallout and didn't try it. And I guess that's for better or worse. There's an old rail grade. Can't tell. Where it's going. I don't really know where I am, so it's not helpful. Here's what I'll say. I don't like Mission Impossible 5 as much as everyone else does, either. I'm just, like, the big action set piece, like the big, multi-vehicle chase in the middle of it's really good, but I've never really had much of a handle on the plot of 5. So I think my ranking would be, Fallout, okay, so 6, 4, 7, I'm gonna throw a really big curveball here and say 1. 8, 3, 2. Also, if when I watch 5 nowadays, this might or might not make sense to you depending on how niche internet, how in tune with niche internet drama you are. But whenever I watch 5 nowadays, Solomon Lane reminds me too much of James Somerton. Or the other way around, I guess. Yeah, I mean, the H-Bomber guy video, like, I had no clue who he was before the H-Bomber guy video. But, yeah. Alright. If this motorway is this, I am much farther north than I need to be, but, well, we can find out. Yeah, if this is US 30, I'm much farther north than I need to be. That is the direction it is. Maybe not heading. Okay, what's the magnetic declination here? Degrees west to be whatever this is, it's not heading the right way. I don't know. Yeah. So the actual compass direction. So west is 265. That was still going south of west. So where we are relative to the magnetic field of the Earth means that all the true coordinates are 5 degrees anti-clockwise of what the compass says. So north is at 355 degrees, south is at 85, or east is at 85, south is at 175, and west is at 265. Something that's easy enough when you know what you're doing, but you do have to pay attention to it. I see a row of lakes here. Let me just look at my paper one. Actually, let me... Is it possible? I am now holding my paper copy of my chart very close in front of my face, trying to figure out if these lakes look the same or the same shape as any of the ones in on my map. This is real exciting. This is some shit. Well, I have the lifeline option. I am not ready to pull that card yet. For one thing, regardless of where I actually am in this area, it's still only should only be like a quarter of the way there. Maybe a little bit farther. not? No, there's no way I'm that far north. I don't think there's room for me to have deviated that much from the flight plan. Is there an airport on the north side? So this is Rochester, which I'm hoping it is. Should be an airport on the north side of this. I don't see it. My next best guess is that I'm all the way, is that I'm over here somewhere, but I just don't think I should be that. I just don't think it should be possible for me to be this far north. I mean, the lake is not... There's a lot of lakes on this chart. Again, it kind of looks like this one, but I don't think I don't think I should be this far north. And my next best guess is this one over here. But nothing else really matches. Ooh, wait. I have an idea. Wawasell. Wawasell. That's not a word. Shit. Is that the AI? Is that like the AI hallucination of Warsaw? Because there is a Warsaw. Something's got to give eventually. Wawasee. Wawasee, maybe? There's Syracuse. Oh. Wawasee. Very far north of where I need to be. Okay. Yikes. How did that happen? So I was at this big lake that I was like, there was no way I'm this far north. All right. Well, I guess the thing to do now is to head west for a while, or head west and maybe a little south. I guess earlier when I thought I was at Route 30, when I was crossing that highway, that was Route 30. Or I've gotten myself even more lost. I don't know. Still not pulling the lifeline. Still too much Indiana between here and where I need to go for me to want to pull the lifeline yet. God, it almost feels like a compass is misaligned or something. It's not lining, like none of these were like. Like this should be west, and that is absolutely not what the grid is doing. Yeah, it's almost like my compass is off by 45 degrees, which what? I suppose it's possible that's a glitch. Okay. Okay. Alright. Purple drink. Incoming. Yep. Compass is off by 45 degrees. That is incredibly unhelpful. Ugh. If there are natural... Okay, artificially flavored drink. I was about to say, if there are natural flavors in here, I don't believe it. How did that happen? Figure out where I'm going. Yikes. Okay. I'm gonna leave the compass thing on until I get to Plymouth. I'll follow this till I get to Plymouth. Then I'll turn it back off and try to navigate from there. Try to resume try to resume visual navigation from there. Oh, that's annoying. That is so annoying. This is already a really long leg too, and I just added I don't know how many miles to it. Yeah, Jesus Christ, I was almost in Michigan. I was almost in Michigan not being a thing I would normally complain about, but at least if I were on the ground I could buy weed. God. So I basically went that. Stopping and asking for directions. Stopping and asking for directions devalues me as a man. have been able to tell something was wrong much earlier. Looks like a dirt bike course. Somebody's having fun on their property. Have to make the best of situations like this. Oh, boy. Okay, so the new plan, given how far off course I am, is to follow Route 30 the rest of the way across Indiana. Maybe at Valparaiso I'll switch to the train line, which is, again, not quite the correct one, but close enough. Real-time navigation. This is going to run longer than I would like, but I'm still committed to getting to Hammond. I'm so far off. I'm tempted to do it again when I come back. Like, I'm not starting over now, but kind of tempted to do it again on Thursday. On the other hand, this would probably be really boring either way, so I don't know. Maybe I'll do it in something slow. Maybe I'll do it in something with autopilot that is slow, like the DA40. On my own time. Okay, so that was Plymouth. $55 miles to go, or nautical miles. Or 50-ish normal miles, normal person miles. Civilian miles. Or other way around. No, other way around. It would be 60-ish normal person miles. Well, less than that now. Boy, I'm really not on my A game today. I would love to know what the heck's going on here, though. high tension wires? Are there high tension wires on the map? I don't see high tension wires on the map. Not. Anyway. Lake. Much easier now. How did that happen? Compass still wrong. Okay, so about here now. Boy, the only way this could get better is if I suddenly had to pee really badly. No reason I brought that up. Whatever this river is. That's where we're at now. So that would be Hannah. I'm going to briefly wait. I should know what this is. Non-directional beacon, maybe? Yeah, that's what that is. That's a non-directional beacon. I wouldn't think that's something I would need to. I guess that's. If we're using a non-directional beacon to navigate, I think that'd technically be instrument flight rules, but whatever. Just make note there's a non-directional radio beacon over there somewhere. Not that. Oh boy, new chatter, and they're definitely not a clanker. And I know they're not a clanker because they're going to reply to me saying, hey, can you say you're not a clanker? Wouldn't be a stream without one. It wouldn't be a complete stream without one. Okay, so this is Watana. Approaching Valparaiso, I think. So my plan when I got to Valparaiso is to try to follow this railway, because that'll take me right to where I need to go for landing. Yeah. So as long as I can keep from getting lost here. Man, it is so weird that I get all these very similar messages every day, or every time I stream, and none of them are willing to say, I am not a clanker, or, you know, respond at all to anything I say. Woke me up, at least. Well, there's Lake Michigan. And yeah, there's actually a little-known national park on the on this shore of Lake Michigan called Indiana Dunes. Haven't been there. Only found out about it about after the last time I was in this direction, so. I don't know. It's not a big one. One of these days, I'm gonna be rude to the wrong robot. It'll make for funny content. All right, so this is Valparaiso, Indiana. They have a university or something, I think. All right. I'm going to attempt to follow this railroad. To Lansing. First step is figuring out where it is. I go out on a limb and say cemetery. I bet this is the university. And cannot read the logo on that football field. Okay, so we got rail line here. Looks like there's a junction a little bit to the west of town. And I gotta follow the southernmost one. And if I can't find it, I guess I will go back to Route 30. Golf course. How much goddamn land that takes up. Okay, here we go. That's the junction. This is the one I want to follow. Alright. "20-ish miles to go. Compass still very wrong, in case you were following that saga. I have no idea how I broke the compass. I think something when I think if I had to guess, it was when I tried to load when I tried to change the weight and add more fuel to the. Yeah, it was either when I changed the weather or the fuel load, while I was on the ground. But yeah, so that's what the compass is pointing 45 degrees south of where it should be. Or 45 degrees anti-clockwise of where it should be. And it took me 45 minutes to figure that out, and would have been nice if I'd figured it out sooner. I assume that's a bug. I don't think I changed the... I don't think I can change what direction north is. That would be very... Yeah, I do not think I was. I do not think I changed what direction north is somehow. Um, like I said, I think that's a bug from changing the weather. I I I don't know. I am not sufficiently interested in trying to replicate it to see if what it was exactly. Trim the plane down a little bit because I am getting close to plane time. Don't see it yet, but all right. So this is Interstate 65 according to the map, which means up there we have Gary, Indiana, which for any foreign viewers is not a very nice place. Rather famously not a nice place. Infamously, one might say. That's a big fucking golf course. Jesus. Look at that. Look at that. This is all golf course. Fly backwards too much. Always seems to go wrong when I do that. Alright, so this would be the Griffith Maryville airstrip. Should be able to see Lansing by now. You know, my data sheet doesn't say anything about what, or like, so I have a cheat sheet for this airplane, and it tells me, like, what the cruising speed is and everything. What it doesn't say is how fast I can dive without damaging the airplane. That's something I feel like I should know. Okay, so the airfield's got to be over here, but I don't see a runway. Rail trail. I bet, so I bet if I had actually at all approximated the route I intended to, this is where I'd have been coming from. Yeah, I bet that's the original Chicago and Atlantic. We are at, just approaching Lansing and Hammond, Indiana. It should be landing fairly shortly, as soon as I figure out where the east-west runway is. I see it. Okay. Ooh, it's even got poppy lights. Nice. Well, I can't quite tell how many of them are lit from this direction, or from this distance. Oh, nope, not glossy lights. So you can just make out some colored lights here to the left of the runway. So those are to guide you on the glide slope. If both pairs of them are yellow, like they are now, that means you're higher than the ideal glide slope, which tends to be what happens when I eyeball it. Back one's red and front one's yellow means correct glide slope. Usually 3 degrees. And If both of them were red, that means you're low. Right now, we are on a correct glide slope. Oh, too high. I'm really buzzing this warehouse or whatever that is. That's why more often than not, 3 degrees feels too low, but that is what God intended, apparently. Ooh, horses! Look at that. All right. Almost a perfect three-pointer. Alright. I like that. And I am not going to be slowed down enough to make that taxiway. I don't think I'm making this one either. Now, I've said this before, but it Remilicious, if you didn't happen to be here for when I brought this up before, there are no brakes on the wheels, so you just kind of have to idle the plane and hope for the best when it comes to steering. Or just, yeah, go slowly and hope for the best, I would say, when steering. This is definitely designed with having a ground handler in mind. Oh my god, the turning circle. Oh no, 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 no. You know what? Cutting fuel. Cutting fuel. Please stop. Alright, this is where it's staying. This is where it lives now. Alright. Okay. Scenic, Hammond, Indiana. All right, well, so this is where I'm going to have to call it. So this is where, so yeah. October 5th, 1911, this is where Rodgers ended up for the evening. I think he was delayed in, he stopped in Aldine, Indiana on the way, which we missed entirely because of the stuff with the compass. But yeah, so he ended up making it to Hammond too late to finish going to Chicago. So that is going to be the next one. I will be back as usual Thursday at 7 Eastern. Hope to see you then. That'll be a good one because we will be doing a nice loop of Chicago. And yeah, if you make it, that's great. If not, until next time, fly safe and fly yeah, fly in clear skies.